Hello, my name is Lexia, and my group and I will be discussing Stephen A. Schwarzman. I'll start off by sharing a little bit about his background before handing it off to Brandon for more detail. Stephen Schwarzman was born on February 14th, 1947, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He grew up in a middle class Jewish family and has been married twice. He also has two children, Zibby and Teddy. For school, he first attended Yale University, where he studied social sciences and was part of the exclusive Skull and Bones Society. Then he went on to Harvard Business School and earned his MBA in 1972. After graduating, he began working at Lehman Brothers at the age of 31 and quickly moved up to becoming a managing director. Later on, in 1985, Stephen co-founded Blackstone, a global investment firm, with his former boss, Peter G. Peterson. Brandon will talk more about that in just a few moments. Outside of business, Schwarzman is a big philanthropist. He has donated $150 million to Yale, $40 million to the Inner City Scholarship Fund, and he has also given large gifts to Oxford and MIT. He is also the author of a book called What It Takes: Lessons in the Pursuit of Excellence, where he shares his experiences in leadership and business. And as of 2025, his net worth is estimated at $41.9 billion, according to Forbes. So that's a quick overview of Stephen Schwarzman's background. Now I'll pass it over to my teammate Brandon, who will go into more detail about his roles at Lehman Brothers, Blackstone's, and his philanthropic efforts. Thanks so much.
Hello, my name is Brandon Perlman, and today I will be explaining the company in which Stephen A. Schwarzman is the chairman, CEO, co-founder, and leader of Blackstone, which was founded in 1985. Being one of the world's largest alternative investment firms, holding nearly 1.2 trillion assets under management, Schwarzman states that our prospects are accelerating. We never rest on our achievements, showing the dedication to excellence as well as being a leader in the industry. Schwartzman is viewed as an active philanthropist with a history of supporting education as well as culture and the arts, among many other things, holding true to his dedication of solving problems and doing so in a transformative way for the company and world it serves. Looking back to his accomplishments, it has been proven that Schwartzman is a leader implementing ethical but innovative and successful goals. It was said by Time magazine that in 2007, Mr. Schwartzman was included in Time's 100 most influential people. In 2016, he topped Forbes magazine list of the most influential people in finance. And in 2018, was ranked in the top 50 on Forbes list of the world's most powerful people. In 2019, he was named one of Barron's world's best CEOs. Doing so by serving institutional and individual investors by building strong businesses that deliver lasting values across the company's 12,500 plus real estate assets and 250 plus portfolio companies. While leading the way, Blackstone is building the tools necessary to fuel the AI revolution. The infrastructure ranging from data centers to the energy that powers them. At the top of their priorities is building financial security through stewarding investor capital with integrity and conviction. Employ careers that offer exceptional talent at the forefront of emerging trends and setting industry standards, as well as an extensive range of tools and capabilities to grow a strong business. As stated by Schwartzman himself, the firm's achievements are only possible because of our most valuable assets, our people. I often say that there are no patents in finance. Our success is instead relies on the talent of our teams around the world, knit together by a shared mission to be the best in the world at what we do on behalf of our investors. Blackstone's employees relentlessly pursue excellence, never compromise integrity, outperform through innovation, delivering for their customers, and working humbly and together as a team. Blackstone has grown its offices across 27 cities worldwide, spanning from the Americas, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. This includes 381 billion in gains for institutional investors, including systems representing over 100 million pensioners, as well as 271 billion in AUM from private wealth channels, which allows the company to unlock access to private markets and institutional quality investments through partnerships with financial advisors. Ultimately, Blackstone is a global asset manager and investment firm specializing in private equity, real estate, and other alternative assets, known for long-term focus on building strong businesses and delivering value for its investors through their portfolio companies and assets. And now, here's Caesar to explain Mr. Schwartzman's leadership styles. Thank you.
Now that we know about Blackstone, let's talk about Stephen's leadership style. Stephen has proven to be a great leader who blends multiple leadership styles. He is primarily a transformational leader, which means he leads by vision, inspires others, and sets bold long term goals. That's clear in the way he helped grow Blackstone from a small startup into one of the world's largest investment firms. He believes in setting big goals that seem almost impossible, breaking them down into small steps, and getting people excited about the mission. He also shows transactional traits. He expects results and holds people accountable. In the financial world, there's no room to just inspire. You also have to deliver. He's detail oriented, focused on performance, and deeply involved in major decisions. That balance of motivation and structure make his leadership effective. He also fits the mold of a visionary leader. In his book, What It Takes, he talks about the importance of dreaming big, but executing in small steps. He wants his team to think creatively and take risks, but he also wants them to stay grounded and be strategic. He also brings in values-based leadership. Trust and integrity are huge for him, as they should be. One of his personal rules is do what you say you're going to do, which I think is an awesome quote from his book because it's simple yet effective. That kind of consistency helps build strong relationships with investors, employees, and partners. His ability to stay calm is a trait to admire. He has led Blackstone through the 2008 financial crisis and more recently through unpredictable markets. He's known for staying clear-headed and focused under pressure, which is a key part of transformational leadership and emotional intelligence. His ability to provide direction during uncertainty gives his team the confidence that keeps things steady even when everything else feels unstable. All of these traits put together make him an exceptional leader. We can all just hope to touch a little bit of what he's done throughout his whole life. Now, Melissa will talk to you about his emotional intelligence.
Hi, my name is Melissa Tarkett, and today I am going to be talking about Stephen Schwarzman's emotional IQ. And I'd like to start off by going over the four components that make up the framework for emotional IQ. So, first, we'll talk about self-awareness, and that is the ability to recognize and understand your mood, emotions, drivers, and their effect on others. Next, we'll go into self-management, and that is the ability to control disruptive impulses and the propensity to think before acting. Next, we will talk about social awareness, and that's the ability to understand emotions of others and treat others according to their emotional reactions. And last, we'll talk about social skills, and that's the proficiency in managing relationships, finding common ground, and building a rapport. Next, first we'll talk about Stephen's self-awareness. So in his book, What It Takes, he talks about how early on in his career, he was able to recognize that he was lacking the level of understanding that he needed in the field of corporate finance. And so, with his career goals and ambitions, he was able to recognize that he needed to go back to school and study this area of business so that he can continue on his path forward in business. And so that self-awareness is really important for people to be able to recognize when they need help or they need to fine-tune their skills. Next, we'll talk about Stephen's social awareness. And so back in 2012, I believe it was, he started a scholarship foundation in Beijing called Shape the Future. And so it's a one-year master's program in global affairs. And he will sponsor 200 students to get their master's program at this accredited university to continue to further global awareness and international business. Next, we'll talk about Stephen's self-management. Again, in his book, What It Takes, he referenced that he makes it a point to never lose his temper or criticize anyone publicly. That could be an example could be if they're in a meeting and let's say someone else is getting out of line, he makes it a point to control his emotions and not allow that to take over the meeting. And he will continue on focusing on whatever deal or meeting or conversation is at hand so that they can accomplish their goals and not let emotions get into it. Lastly, we'll talk about Stephen's social skills and how that makes him a great leader. He's quoted saying that his biggest job really is to figure out other people and that he needs to understand what makes people tick. And I think that's a really important quote that could go a long way. I think in business, you need to make sure that you really do understand who you're doing business with, especially when the markets are so oversaturated. There's so much competition. I always say that people don't necessarily just buy your product. They buy who they choose to work with and who they choose to have these relationships with. So his social skills have by far represented what it takes to be a successful and proven leader.
All right, why is Schwarzman considered an effective leader? One reason why many people, including myself and my teammates, consider him an effective leader is through his process of democratized decision making. People often get this idea of Wall Street being very cutthroat. There's movies like The Wolf of Wall Street and others that just kind of depict this stereotype that the firms don't care about their employees, that that they can be replaced at the snap of a finger, stuff like that. And at Blackstone, Schwarzman has really made an effort to kind of create this collective process where voices from all levels are heard and truly considered, and it allows everyone to feel important, and it really increases just the team dynamic. He claims that this has been very successful, and his employees have backed up his claims as well, saying that is his this democratized decision making style has really has made a difference, and that's a very important aspect for a leader to have, is to be able to create to have the people he's leading feel important and feel wanted, and listened to. Um, Piggybacking onto that is he's cultivated a collaborative culture, created a supportive environment. Blackstone really values openness, teamwork, and mutual respect. Um, and he oftentimes emphasizes the importance of a supportive environment where everyone feels that their contributions really make a difference and mean something. And like I was saying before, how Wall Street gets this stereotype that is very cutthroat. He's kind of, gone against those stereotypes and those norms and created a more inclusive place where people really feel wanted. On top of that, his visionary leadership and strategic growth has, been able to bring the firm to whole different levels. I was reading a Forbes article while researching this presentation, and he was talking about his process on hiring, top tier talent to work for him. He refers to them as tens, and he says it's been pivotal in driving the firm's success. He believes that these top tier individuals can sense problems and take the business into new directions without specifically being told, what to do. They're not sheep. They can kind of create and come up with these different ideas that he can't do on his own. And that's also a very important aspect of a leader, is to be able, to take constructive criticism, to be able to listen to other people's opinions. And clearly he's done that successfully. Last point that I wanted to mention, I know my classmates, teammates have said some similar things earlier on in the presentation, but Schwarzman was able to successfully lead the company through rough waters during the 2008 financial collapse, and bounce back from a from the collapse. And in my opinion, if you're able to do something like that, obviously you're an effective leader. So With that being said, that concludes our presentation.